Hey, what's up? It's your girl Tati. I'm back with another video to review Dark Side of the Ring. However, before I get started with that, I do want to say rest in peace to New Jack, who just passed away. I'm very surprised about it. You don't really anticipate people dying, obviously, but like, getting on Facebook, you don't expect to just see almost everybody posting about someone dying. And one of the things I hate seeing is another professional wrestler um dead young. um it's crazy. They said that he had a heart attack. Only one website I saw reported that it was a heart attack, so I'm not really sure if that's what it was. But I just find it ironic because I was watching Dark Side of the Ring and I was reminded of New Jack watching this episode. There's some similarities, and I just thought, like, wow, like literally I was just thinking about him the night before it actually happened. And man, my condolences to anyone who is hurting by his passing, and rest in peace, New Jack. So let me get right into this review. First of all, where do I actually begin? Look, I don't want to discredit deathmatch wrestling. I don't. But to me, it doesn't make sense. To me, it's not enjoyable. Me personally, I don't like to see even stuff like that in a movie. I guess you can say like I'm a little softy. But as far as seeing this like in real life and it's integrated with professional wrestling, like to me, I feel like it just doesn't make sense. Um, Anyone who's crazy with big balls can just go ahead and just do this. And I feel like it's less about the wrestling, more about stunts. It's about how can I be even crazier than the last match I have? How can I be crazier than the other son of a bitches that are here? It's just really about stunts. It's less about the wrestling. That's how I honestly see it. And to me, like I said, I don't want to say that it's not wrestling, but it's not enjoyable, not to me. I just, it's, in my opinion, it's ridiculous. One of the scenes on the show showed how he had got cut by like this light fixture who that went to his side right here. I believe they said that it did cut an artery, and he was just bleeding profusely. And all he wanted to do was just get back in the ring, which is cool. Like, I can respect that. But I don't think he realized that he was on the verge of death. And actually, when he got on that helicopter, he actually flatlined for 7 minutes. So imagine if someone allowed him to get back in that ring, he would have been dead in front of what, 100 people or so. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't even want to go there about the audience, but it's like to me, it's like, at what point with these matches do someone call it off and say, all right, that's too much, or that's too dangerous, or this person could possibly die? Like, at what point do they see it as potentially life threatening? Because just about everything I'm looking at is potentially life threatening. So you would think that experience like that would keep him from doing it, but no, he came back and he made a career out of that. And that's cool, whatnot. But to me, as far as it being wrestling or type of wrestling, I don't really see it. I really don't. I do see some elements of professional wrestling, but that's not what it's really about. Like, honestly, I feel like that's not even it. This episode also just went back to the drugs, and I think that's like featured in almost every episode. Like, drugs is a killer in this industry, and it makes sense, especially for someone who's doing these type of matches, to want to turn to narcotics like clockwork. They need something to subdue the pain, and then at some point when you're taking so much narcotics, you don't even feel the effects anymore. You can try to get high off of it or whatnot, and then now you're looking for something else, and then this is when the real hard shit comes in, like heroin. Him and his girlfriend look rough as hell. you know whether they do drugs now or not, which I'm not gonna judge, but they probably still do. They look real rough, And, especially seeing a picture of his girlfriend from I don't know how many years back, and then seeing her now, giving her take on his career and his life on the show, you're like, whoa. I mean, she don't look good at all. And it's really sad, and it's part of the reason why a lot of wrestlers die young, like the drugs and everything else that goes along with it. So it made sense in that point, but it was like, damn, like, you know, he ended up committing this robbery. He robbed the bank, and my point is, like, when he was in jail for that, he was like how he wanted to fix his life. He wanted to do better, make better choices, be a better wrestler, and continue off his career. But that obviously didn't happen. So, going back to this robbing a bank thing. So basically, he's homeless. He's not making money. Probably blew it all on drugs or whatnot. So he's walking. It's frigid cold outside, and he's like, he's gonna rob a bank. He gets past one, and he chickens out, and he's like, the next one, I'm gonna rob it. So he's at the next bank. He goes there, tells the teller, "Hey, I got a gun. Give me everything you got." So she gives him the money, and then he goes over to this promoter's house, who's I believe was a good friend of his, and he puts all the money on the table, and he's like, "I just robbed a drug dealer," and he didn't buy that at all because those bills were crisp as hell. So where could you? The only place you could possibly get those is a bank, and to him, I'm thinking that he probably was surprised that his friend figured him out, and he probably didn't think that he got caught. But I believe the next day, his girlfriend says she saw his picture in the newspaper. So it's funny because John Moxley was describing how when he came out to the ring, he always wear a bandana like over his face or whatnot. And he's like, the one time he actually doesn't is when he robs a bank, and they end up getting his picture because right at the door is the camera, and it's literally at eye length, so it gets your face. Any person who comes in and out the bank, so it was easy to identify who he was, especially with something that happened locally in the area where he's from. So people knew it was him, and he decides he's gonna go to Atlantic City with his girl, and they blew the money because it's like, hey, I robbed the bank, I got all this money. I'll be damned if I don't spend it and just, have something to think about. And he goes and he spent the money, and I believe he said 8 or 9 days. And then after that, he turns himself in. He ends up getting 5 years, but only serving 4 years, four and some change. And, he's saying that having all this fan mail and all these people write to him, he felt like that motivated him to want to do better, to take his career to new heights or whatnot, and that doesn't really happen. So obviously he gets back into drugs and whatnot, and the surprising part is that his promoter friend, who knew about him robbing the bank or whatever, decided to put a little faith in him and have this like Nick Gage invitational. And the very same day that this is going on, he gets arrested before the actual show. And something about him using someone else's urine, I guess they found out about it. And he did not pass a urine test when they actually got to get samples of his own urine. And he went back for another 3 years. And since he's been out, he obviously back to the drugs. Like, you can really see it. Um, and his girlfriend too, they're still together. And it's like, man, I don't want to judge about that, but it's like, it's easier said than done to just say, hey, I'm going to do better, but actually don't. And I think the craziest thing, other than that, was his match with David Arquette. He ain't no damn wrestler. Okay, he had no business ever being in the ring, but that's another topic for another time. But he made it seem like that match he had with David, like David should have known what he had coming, which is true. Like, obviously, you're gonna get into the ring with somebody, you're not even really a professional wrestler. Like, obviously you'd go back and see what this person is about. But at the same time, you should be, I don't know, like you should be smart enough to say, hey, he ain't no real wrestler. Like, let me not kill him, you know. But he just that is as if he's balls enough to get in a ring with me, I'm gonna treat him like how I would do with anyone else. And that's another thing with why I don't look at this style to be so much of a professional wrestling, because there's this code where it's like whoever you're in the ring with, you take care of them so they can get back home to their family, and vice versa. And with this style of wrestling, it's possible that you'll just possibly just be in the hospital or just possibly dead, like how you see how it happened. I don't know too much of this style of wrestling. I wouldn't be surprised to hear maybe a handful of people will probably have passed um, in the ring or from some type of injury that they've gotten from these matches. So to me, it's like, how could you possibly live by that code um, in these type of matches? So especially with someone who's like David Arquette, who really have no real, I don't know, like sure he's been in the ring, but he ain't no wrestler. So you would think that he'd probably take it easier on him, or probably just don't take it overboard. Instead, he's just any old person who I'd get in the ring with. If he's stepping up to me, then why not? And David too. I think on both part, they both were stupid to even carry on with this shit. Like I don't know, like they're both trying to make a name for themselves with doing something like this. Like I said, it's all about the stunts. It ain't got nothing to do with the professional wrestling itself. So, David, he's an actor. He's probably just looking for something to promote a project or whatever the hell it was. But I'm pretty sure he regretted doing this because he actually gets hurt. I think he was saying something about saying, don't cut me. He didn't want like some kind of major injury, and then he actually ends up cutting him in the neck. So according to Nick, he was like, oh, he stormed out of there and he never heard from him again. And then I don't know, a couple of hours later after the show was aired, Vice had extra footage of them actually not seeing each other, but contacting each other again, where David wants to use the footage from the match on a documentary that he was doing on himself or whatnot. And I guess Nick wasn't agreeing for it because I guess he wants a price for it or whatnot. And David's wife ended up offering him a king size mattress. So he said he never heard from Arquette again, but somehow he got a king size mattress from David and his wife, and I guess he's sleeping good now after taking all those damn bumps, right? So, I mean, to me, he just had this persona where because of what he's done with his professional career, he just seems to come off like I don't know, like a hard ass or whatnot. Could be the drugs, could be how he really is, but like to be honest, like seeing him talking as far as the interview goes, I was just like, okay, is this an act or just drugs or whatever it is? Like, is this really him? Um, I couldn't really tell. I really couldn't. I just feel like I just couldn't get behind what he was doing. Not much of an interesting character to me, but it was interesting to see, you know, how that type of wrestling, I, I don't even know why I'm saying that, but it's wrestling, I guess, just not to me. I don't enjoy matches like that. Um, let's see what else happened. The episode was well documented. I just didn't really necessarily find Nick Cage to be interesting. He could have been an interesting person. Um, a lot of people don't really have nice things to say about him, and it's I can see why. But I did enjoy the episode though. It was nice seeing John Moxley though. See, I like this because I haven't been watching the documentary series that A&E is doing with WWE because I know there's gonna be some biasness there, like for sure. And I was really interested in seeing that episode with Booker T and the one with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, I really wanted to see that, but I was like, I want the real story. They're not gonna say things that I don't know any other journalist would ask. Like WWE is gonna try to make them seem like angels almost, and I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm gonna give it a shot, but I'm preferring Dark Side of the Ring right now because they're giving it to you straight. Like there's no biasness, there's no nothing, and I think that's what makes these people that we've looked at as superheroes or whatnot human, because we got to see that in a way they make mistakes just like us. That they're just people who's entertaining us, and I don't like that bias stuff. Like it's not it's I don't know. I'm gonna give it a chance and see how that works out. But this episode was actually interesting. But I know there are going to be much more interesting topics for this season. Next episode is going to be about the collision in Korea. I'm very interested in seeing that one. I would love to see who they got on the show to talk about the event. And that's another thing too. Like a lot of people who are part of these stories are not necessarily involved in actual the documentary, and that kind of sucks too. But that would just really be able to tell the story in different perspectives or whatnot. And I know a lot of people aren't involved because they're like, I don't know, real close with WWE or whatnot, and don't want to ruin that with being part of a show like Dark Side of the Ring. But it's good to hear the wrestler's perspective on these experiences, because we always hear about things like that, especially like in shoot interviews and things like that. And this this documentary just kind of makes the story comes alive. And I love how they have those footages where they have people acting out certain scenes and stuff. Like I think that's pretty cool too. A lot of times it's often wrestlers, independent wrestlers, or people who are coming up who they're given a shot to be able to help document these stories, and it's pretty enjoyable. But this particular topic, not for me. But there were some interesting moments. Like, wow, you robbed the bank. That's crazy. So I'll see you guys next week with the Collision in Korea review.